All right, y'all, a bit of a different video today. Haven't posted in about 2 months, and I will get back to, doing the regular content, but I figured I would come back with this interesting story about easily the worst week of my life. So I'm just gonna get straight into it. First of all, this whole thing took place a week before my birthday exactly, my 18th birthday. Tuesday, I posted a TikTok, and ended up right now, it's at like 4.7 million views. So you can go check out my TikTok, Evan Moon Wilson. But so yeah, I was celebrating that. I was celebrating the TikTok fame, and I was annoying my peers, telling them about how I was gonna go to LA and move out, and I was in just high spirits because I had gone viral on TikTok like I had wanted to for so long. So that happened Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I'm at lacrosse practice after school, and we're doing this drill where you catch a ball in front of the cage and shoot on the goalie. The pass comes from right behind the cage, which is the goal. The pass comes from right behind the goal, and you're right in front of the goal, catching it and shooting it. And one of my friends throws me this pass, and great speed on it, great velocity, really just slung this pass to me. And it would have been a perfect pass, but it was aimed directly at my balls and and nailed me like straight in the groin. And it didn't hit my thighs. It did not like bounce off my chest pad and hit it. It hit me straight in the groin. My first initial reaction was to start sprinting. I just started running, started taking off all my pads, taking off everything, taking off my helmet, and went to the fence. Later, I found out that everybody thought that it had either hit me in the thigh, pad, or cup. I wasn't wearing a cup, but the reason they thought that was because when I got hit, there was a popping sound. And it sounded so loud that they thought it had hit me in a pad or like hit my thigh, made a weird noise on my thigh. It did not. So that popping sound came from my testicles. But anyway, so I'm running, I'm sprinting to the fence, collapsing. The whole team thinks it's hilarious because it's funny whenever someone gets hit in the groin. And I was probably, squirming in pain for 15 minutes, slowly fades away. And I'm like, all right, I get back up, walk to the sideline. Later, I find out people had been posing next to me and taking pictures, which I thought was funny at the time. Still is pretty funny, but really lighthearted situation. So I watched the rest of practice, and I'm looking on my phone like when this pain is supposed to fade away, because I'm not in like intense pain. I mean, when I got hit, probably 11 out of 10 on the pain scale. And so right at the time after I got hit, it was more feeling nauseous and kind of still like maybe 4 or 5 on the pain scale, so manageable. But on my phone it said that the pain's only supposed to last really for an hour. It had been like 45 minutes, so I was like, look, I don't really want to talk to the trainer about this, but I'm going to. So the trainer's watching a softball game with some teachers. I pull him aside, tell him what happened. He goes, look, as long as you have them in the right place and there's not super bad swelling, you're fine. And so I was like, all right, I'll check for that. And by wrong place, he meant like apparently sometimes they can like go in the stomach. They can go up in the stomach, and which is terrifying. But mine weren't like that. So I was like, all right, I guess I'm fine. He was very adamant though. He said if the pain worsens or if the swelling gets worse, go to the ER. And so I'm like, okay. So continue watching the last like 15 minutes of practice or whatever. And then later he comes over, maybe 10 minutes, he comes over and he's like, hey, Evan, like, I think I should check you out. It would make me feel better if I checked instead of just told you what to check. And I was like, you know what? I don't really want you to check, but that's probably like a good move. So I'm like, all right, let's do it. So he puts me in the little injury cart or whatever, drives me back to his training office, checks me out. He doesn't really like check the area specifically. Like I still had my pants on when he checked me, but he checked around to make sure that it was still in the right place. And he kind of felt and put pressure. And he was like, does this hurt? He'd do it on my right side. I'm like, doesn't really hurt. Did on my left side, and I would kind of squirm, but like, I have a pretty, like, I would say I have a high pain tolerance. So I was like, it hurts, but like, I just got hit there, like it's probably gonna hurt. So he's like, all right. And he wasn't convinced. He wasn't, I could see that he wasn't convinced. He was like, you're still squirming. It's been an hour, but the swelling feels fine, and they're in the right place. So just remember, swelling gets worse, pain gets worse, go to the ER. I'm like, all right. Leave his office, practice had ended by then, walk to my car and drive to dinner to meet with my mom and dad, my parents. So do the drive, and as I'm driving, I'm kind of like, okay, pain still hasn't gone away, you know. And so I park and I go out to walk into the restaurant. And the moment I stop sitting and stand to get out of my car to walk to the restaurant, pain's tripled probably. Like it was already at like a 4 or 5 and it's tripled, and I can barely walk without like passing out. So I somehow get in the restaurant, and the first thing I tell my dad is, hey, like we need to go to the ER. Like this is not normal pain. And I have a high pain tolerance, I would say. So it's still Thursday night. He drives me to the ER. We get to the ER around, I want to say like 6. Get the ultrasound, because that's what they do, is what they ordered for me, I guess, an ultrasound. Ultrasound at like 8, very painful ultrasound. They would do the right and it would be fine. They do the left, and you know, they have to get that, they put the gel on the thing and like press, and it was very painful. They were pressing on the left, and so they got the ultrasound scans in from the nurse, did the ultrasound, and it was weird because she would like, I would hear the heartbeat on my right testicle, and I'd be like, okay, and then she'd go to the left one, and then she'd press the button to hear the heartbeat, and it would be like less loud, and it freaked me out. But I was like, I didn't know if I was just making up stuff or whatever. Kind of freaked me out. So we go back in the waiting room. I'm in a wheelchair now, and we're waiting for a urologist to look over the pictures. The nurse kind of told us that she thought that I had it was worse than a bruise, but it wasn't the worst case scenario. So still didn't really give me any comfort. So finally I go onto the stretcher kind of thing. I go onto the stretcher, they take all my blood things, they finally admit me, and they put me in a waiting room. And so I'm in the waiting room waiting for this urologist to come, or to analyze my pictures. And then so while he's analyzing my pictures, the ER doctor comes in, who's different, and he also looks at the pictures. And he basically came in, he looked at it, another doctor came in, looked at it, and they basically tell me, look, there's a hematoma from what we can see that's in your testicle, which is a blood clot, which means that when I got hit, the ball like made a bunch of the blood vessels in there like pop open, and so blood was clotting in my testicle. And if y'all know anything about testicle injuries, like it's very serious. Once a testicle loses blood flow, they have to remove it. You can't fix that. And so it was good that I came there so early. And then the ER doctor basically said, hey, this doesn't bode well for that testicle. And now I'm kind of freaking out. I'm like, I don't want to lose this, you know, I don't want to have this surgery on me. And he goes, don't worry, man. A huge population of people, of men, don't have a testicle and their fertility's fine. And I was like, I don't really care. Like, that's not the most calming fact or whatever. So I'm kind of freaking out. And so that's when the ER doctor tells me, hey, the urologist has you down for surgery. He's also looked at it. You're going to have surgery tonight. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So because I never ate at dinner and I just got in the restaurant and left to the ER, they could do surgery that night because didn't have dinner. Go to the other room where they prep you for surgery, got the little hat on, got the little stickers on, you know, they're taking off my bracelets, they're taking off my jewelry. And the surgeon finally comes in, the urologist who's going to do the surgeon. And he's like, hey man, we're going to do surgery on you. I don't think I'll have to remove it, but I won't know until I get in there. And so I'm like, all right, bro, do your best. And so go under the anesthesia, go under surgery. After the surgery, I was sleeping, still under the influence of the anesthesia. And apparently I had like pulled out the breathing tube out of my neck. And the nurse said he had never seen anything like that before. So that was kind of cool because that thing goes like into your throat and pumps air in it. And I just pulled it out. I get consciousness, and the first thing I asked the nurse and my dad is, do I have both? And they're both laughing. They're like, yeah, you have both. And I'm like, oh, thank goodness. So they wheel me out in the wheelchair and I go home that night. So it was crazy. I went into the ER at about like 6, right? And then I didn't know anything at 6. And I ended up getting out, just having my first surgery ever at like 12:30. So I got hit, let's say around like 4:30, and literally had a surgery completed on me by 12:30 that same day. Or not the same day, but you know what I mean. So it's Friday when I get out of the surgery. It's like 12:30. And go home, sleep on it, wake up Friday morning. Obviously walking with a bit of a waddle, you know, but fine, you know, going through the day, kind of starting to laugh about it. And Friday was fine. So then I wake up Saturday at about 3:30 in the morning, and I try to go pee, and I just excruciating pain, like level 10 of pain. Try to pee, and there's no way I can even walk to my restroom, so I lay back down and just wait. Parents wake up. I tell them like I can't get up. They're like, it's probably just from the surgery. I'm like, that's what I'm thinking. So pee in cups off the side of my bed, and like my dad dumps them in the toilet. That's how I pee. I can't walk. And my dad kind of asks the urologist, he's like, hey man, is this normal? And he goes, no, it's not normal. If he cannot walk, then you need to get him to the ER. And so my dad and mom come up and they're like, look, Evan, like you gotta walk. Otherwise we're gonna have to send you to the ER again. And so I'm like, in my head, don't want to go back there. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna walk no matter what. So it takes me probably like 10 minutes just to go from laying down to sitting up. And then it takes me about another 5 minutes to get the courage to put one foot down, and then another 5 minutes to like finally stand. So this is the craziest part of the story, I'd say. So I get up, I'm sitting down, I get up to stand, and I don't feel any of the pain I had felt at 3:30 in the morning that made me scream out in pain. I get up and I don't really feel anything. And my dad's holding me, so I get up and I'm in his arms, and I'm kind of just like, okay. And very rapidly, I start feeling like all the energy in my body is just getting depleted. Like literally like losing energy. It felt like I was running like a marathon in 5 minutes. Like I was just getting tired. And I'm like, wow, okay. And then next thing I know, I had blacked out. Like I literally blacked out with my eyes open, whole body gone stiff, and blacked out for about 5 seconds. When I came to, I was still standing because my dad was holding me up. I just remember feeling this like intense pain on my head. Like someone was like had their fingers and was just squishing my head. Ended up falling backwards onto the bed. And so my dad tells my mom, he's like, look, call 911 right now. Call 911. I'm exhausted. Whole thing made me break out into a full sweat. And I'm just laying in the bed, like breathing hard, felt like I'd run a marathon. I just passed out. So later, kind of jumping ahead, what the doctors told me was basically I had reached my pain threshold. So I was in so much pain that my body, as a defense mechanism, basically said, we're gonna black you out so you don't feel this pain anymore. And that's what happened. I literally blacked out. And then when I woke up, I fell back on the bed. And because again, I only really felt a major pain when I tried to stand. Laying down was fine. And so ambulance comes, they come up the stairs, and there's this 3 people. And so they're like, hey buddy, we need to get you in this chair so that the chair can take you down the stairs and roll you to the ambulance. And so they're like, do you think we can get you in the chair right now, or do you think we should medicate you first? And I'm like, definitely medicate me. Everyone's like, medicate him. He just passed out from trying to stand. There's no way he's getting into the chair. So they're like, all right, we're going to put fentanyl in you. And I'm like, I'd heard about that, didn't know much about it. And he basically said that fentanyl is 100 times stronger than morphine, and it is only given to people in like nanograms or something, or like micrograms. So normally you get prescribed medicine, or you get medicine injected to you in like milliliters. This is like way smaller than that. It's like tiny amount. They get the IV in. One of the people messed up twice in my arm, which again, more pain. I could feel him digging around in my arm. So I was like, oh. So they went to the right arm and got it the first try there. And so they start pumping me with this fentanyl. Laying in my bed probably took like 2 or 3 minutes for them to come, and then laid in there for about 15 more minutes. And I start feeling the fentanyl kick in. And it's just like making me completely, I'm still aware. It's just making me super like loopy, but like I'm still able to, carry out a conversation. So like, hey Evan, all right, it's been a minute. Do you still feel the pain? And I'm like, no, I don't think so. I don't really know. And they're like, all right, well, let's try to move you. So I stand up again, and the pain that had just made me black out probably 30 minutes ago feels like a mild soreness. So the fentanyl basically made me not feel pain anymore. And so I'm like, okay, yeah, this is easy. Get in the chair, wheeled out to the ambulance. So I go to the hospital and get to the hospital, and they're like, hey, we're about to transfer you. Do you want another thing of fentanyl just to like get you into the hospital from the ambulance? I'm like, yeah, you might as well. Because apparently fentanyl wears off pretty fast, but they can give you a lot more of it safely or something. I don't know. It wears off fast, but they can give you more. And so give me another dose, and then I go into the hospital, go into the waiting room. And so this whole thing probably happened around 5 is when I got into the hospital again, around 5. And so this would be Friday, Saturday, around 5. And nothing else happens that day except another ultrasound. The urologist is not there really on Saturday, so I have to wait till Sunday before I see a doctor again. So I'm just in there Saturday, and I'm in this tiny room probably like 5 hours, okay, with my dad. 5 hours basically just looking at a wall, looking at the TV, looking at the clock for 5 hours. And it was terrible because psychologically I'm like, I thought we just got everything fixed and we obviously didn't. So now I'm freaking out. What else could be wrong? Did they mess up the first time? So they get the ultrasound on me and then they move me to another room. They're like, hey, we're going to keep you overnight. We just took another ultrasound and it looks the exact same as it did the first time, which basically means another surgery. So spend the night in the hotel, wake up Sunday. This is Super Bowl Sunday. This whole thing happened February 10th. This is Super Bowl Sunday, whatever that comes out to be. 11, 12, 13th, right? I think the 13th. Yeah, 13th. So this is February 13th. I'm in the hospital. Wake up, doctor's there at 6 a.m. He's like, hey, we're gonna do the surgery right now. So I get the surgery done around 7. First thing I do when I wake up from the surgery is I go to my mom. My mom and dad had switched out because you can only have one person in the hospital. I go to my mom and I'm like, hey, I hold up the number 2. And she's like, yes, Evan, you have both balls still. And I'm like, oh, thank goodness. So so Sunday I got my second surgery. So first surgery happened on Thursday and then second surgery happened on Sunday. So crazy to think about. They gave me these cool socks in the hospital. They're like trampoline socks that are really grippy so that you don't slip. The ambulance gave me this cool blanket. They basically opened it out for me because it was super cold that day. And so they put it on the stretcher so I was cold. And anyway, I wake up the second time and I have this jock strap on, which is literally like a diaper. And this is to support my groin, literally. Like you wear it like that and it supports the groin. So anyway, after the second surgery, the guy he comes up to me and he's basically like, look, I did everything again. I cleaned out the dead tissue. I repaired the wall of your testicle and you should not have to be back. Like you will not be back basically. And another thing he did was he added this tube, and it's a latex tube that a piece of it is inside my scrotum while the other piece kind of hangs outside of it. And so I'm literally walking around with a tube. Half of it's in my body, half of it's out, and it drains liquid, mainly blood and like pus, so that the scrotum doesn't swell up. So I have that in me, which is awesome. So anyway, Sunday, finally on the road to recovery, still can't walk, laid in bed pretty much the whole day Sunday, watched the Super Bowl, shout out the Rams, wanted them to win, and they deserve it. So Rams won the Super Bowl. Next day is Valentine's Day, still spend the whole Valentine's Day in the hospital. Actually, I think that morning on Monday we get discharged. So my mom bathes me basically because I can't do anything on my own. She takes care of me, she bathes me up and down. Monday, so Tuesday is a recovery day. Wednesday, I literally take a shower on my own for the first time. I had walked the first time on Tuesday. Wednesday, I took a shower by myself. I'm finally learning how to replace the gauze that has to go under the in the jockstrap under the tube to collect all that stuff. It's gross. And so I finally take a shower. I'm finally walking in. And Thursday, they're like, all right, this is the day where they remove that tube. And so this tube is it's freaky to think about. It's literally half of it's in your body, half of it's out of your body. And you're walking around with it inside you. And it is not a good feeling. And every now and then I would feel stuff drain out of it. And it was just disgusting, man. I'm downplaying the amount of pain I felt, I think, in this story, but dude, the pain was just worst pain I've ever experienced in my life in terms of getting hit, in terms of passing out in my bed, in terms of having the tube in me and then having the tube replaced, which happened on Thursday on my birthday. So on my 18th birthday, I get this tube replaced exactly a week from when I got hit. And going there, doctor checks it out, looks good, thank goodness, still doing well right now. He cuts the stitch that connects the tube to me, and he yanks on it and it does not come out. And I feel it. Literally, I feel him yank and I just feel it in my scrotum trying to come out and not coming out. And it is like, I'm screaming in pain right now, but like kind of laughing too because of how awkward the situation was with both my parents in the room. So I was screaming, laughing, whatever. The second time he pulls it out, and the second time he really yanked and that thing came out, because apparently you're supposed to take it off like a Band-Aid really fast. But so he yanks it out, and my mom said, because she was watching, my dad couldn't watch, which I don't blame him, I couldn't watch, but my mom said like probably this much tubing was inside me, while like the other part was that much. So they finally get it out. So yeah, man, that all took the span of a week before my birthday, ending on my birthday. I just felt like I'd make this video because a lot of people from my school have been asking about it, and because, you know, I want to get back into YouTube, especially after hitting 1,000 subscribers. So I'm doing fine now. I can walk. I walk almost normally now. Can take a shower, can go to the restroom by myself, so really good. And just can say I've had 2 surgeries now. So thank y'all for watching, man. And if you made it this far, y'all, you're amazing. And please subscribe. So see y'all later. Peace.